My name is Ivan. I want to tell a terrible story that happened just a couple of days ago. I work as a guard of cooperative garages. Guarding them, the mode of work 24 hours a day, and 2 at night you have to go around the territory. The site itself is on the outskirts of town. It's always quiet, but that was before. So I came on shift in a pretty good mood. I replaced my partner, who was all asleep. I have long suspected that he sleeps at night, not on duty and stretched out in all poses. Partner's name is Sasha. He didn't stick around in the morning when I came on shift, just to say that there were no incidents. He packed up. We said goodbye and parted ways. I headed to my workplace and he headed home. All in all, the day was boring. I sat on the internet, looked out the windows, walked around the grounds a couple times, and that was it for the day. In the evening people started to go home. I went outside and turned on the lights so I could see the main garage doors. It was already getting dark. At 11 o'clock in the evening, I walked out onto the lot and walked around looking around. It was quiet, nothing out of the ordinary. There was a movie on TV that didn't interest me, and I was reading jokes on one of the sites on the internet. In the night, at the second hour, suddenly the dogs started barking. I went outside, taking my gun and baton with me, but there was no one around. I didn't listen to anything. I took a cigarette from the pack, put it to my lips, flicked the lighter and inhaled the smoke. Standing near my booth, I took a few puffs and noticed that the dogs had stopped barking and were looking at the far row of garages. I closed the gatehouse and walked leisurely to where the dogs were looking. It was a little creepy. After all, we work shifts on a rotating basis. As I reached the end of the far row, I didn't notice any strange phenomena. After standing for a few seconds, I decided to go back, but as I threw my cigarette butt on the ground, I noticed footprints. They were not dog tracks. I thought it might be a fox, since we are on the outskirts of town and there is a forest nearby. I thought it was a fox looking for something to eat, but I followed the tracks to see if it was. The tracks led into the darkness behind the garages. Once behind the garages, in the dark and clutching my club in my hands, I saw a face in front of me that was looking at me. I aimed the flashlight beam directly at it, but the bee stuck down the slope. Turning off the flashlight, I quickly walked up the slope and looked down and saw a strange medium-sized creature looking at me. I took a few steps towards it, pointed the flashlight in its direction and turned it on. What I saw nearly blew my healthy psyche to shreds with wild terror. On four legs stood a creature, shaggy, gray in color, about the size of an adult Caucasian dog, but on its muzzle were huge eyes with small pupils, crazy eyes, the look, huge teeth, and shaped as if the creature was smiling. Wild general facial degeneration. In the blood, alien blood. With horror I dropped my lantern and baton, immediately fell backward, but immediately jumped up and ran toward the dogs and the gatehouse. When I turned around and ran halfway back, it came out of the darkness into the light. But it didn't chase me, it just looked at me with its huge eyes, huge teeth, and bloody face, sort of smiling. And it was crazy. When I reached the gatehouse, I opened the lock with lightning speed, flew inside, and locked myself in. I turned off the lights and sat down so that I couldn't be seen through the windows. We have big bars on the windows. The door is solid metal. I felt safe. I sat frantically. The image of the muzzle never left me. It was horrible. I wanted to scream, but I could hardly control myself. I sat like that all night, listening to the sounds outside. It was quiet, no dogs barked. After sitting up until morning, I was almost calm. Dawn was coming, but I didn't dare to go out to turn off the lamps. Suddenly I heard sure footsteps and before I knew it, there was a knock at the door. As it turned out, it was my partner, the third guard. I opened the door and immediately started packing. He looked at me strangely and asked if I was okay. I mumbled that I was fine, and walked out of there. I didn't show up for my next shift. He said she quit. I got a better job. Now I work as a consultant at a cell phone store. Then every night I keep thinking about that crazy face I saw on the night shift.